Just another day, just another night. Just another day, just another night without you. Well, turn my world around. Oh, just another night, just another fight. Just another night.
Hey, it's good. Funny guy right here, back with another video. Please ignore the background noise. I'm currently in class. We're just gonna do this creative mayhem, so the stream will be over. The video will be over. So, enjoy if you do hit everyone Twitch, hit follow. If you're in YouTube, hit the subscribe button, turn on post notifications. If you're to do this, hit the like button. And yeah, let's get into this.
Recording in progress.
Good afternoon. It is February the 8th, 2022. This is Netty 109-10F, and it is 1:05 p.m. And I see lots of familiar faces out there. Thank you for, we'll let Andrew get in here. Thank you for showing up today on the Zoom side of things. As you know, this should be a learn anywhere environment, which means you can come to class, you can stand by the Zoom, view the recordings later. And as you know from my correspondence, guests having been inoculated twice and boosted once, I caught it. And it has been a brutal run for me. But the nice thing about it was, I have a pulse oximeter here at home, and I tested my breathing, which I wasn't having any trouble with. It's in the high 90s. So I told my doctor, I said, this is what's going on. He said, stay home. He said, stay home and suffer. And I have stayed home and suffered to the point that it was pretty good. So I woke up this morning and it feels like I have a cold in my head. My left eye, my left sinus. So I understand from a couple of people that have commented said, you can have lingering effects. Of course, Andrew. Of course. Just stay in touch with me. Let me know. Do what you got to do. Yes. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I trust you. Just go do what you got to do. You know, here's an example of a student that is requesting some time off.
Thank you.
Because of illness. And you don't need to give me any, you just don't, man. If you feel bad, I'll give you an example. Our chancellor, Jeff Scott, really great guy. During this whole COVID thing, his comment was, if you're supposed to work 10 to 1 o'clock office, and then you have a class from 1 to 4, and then you have office 4 to 6, which is pretty indicative of my schedule. He said, if you feel like sleeping in because you've had COVID or you feel like crap, sleep in. He goes, I want healthy individuals, and if you're sleeping in, getting up later, having your coffee later, and being able to crank your engine up so at 1 o'clock you can be with your students, he said, I don't have a bit of problem with that. And I'm the same way with my students is, if you got to miss a class, because you were feeling bad, miss a class. That's why we record them. That's why I record them anyway. Right. So students later getting up in the afternoon, because I'm a night owl to begin with. And I just soon never see prior to noon getting out of bed. I'd rather get up in the afternoon, you know, lounge it in, get some coffee, maybe watch part of a movie, you know, take a shower, you know, and by 2 or 3 o'clock, then the juices start to flow and I kind of go, okay, whatever. Well, then when everybody goes to bed at 9, 10, 10:30, whatever, well, then I'm up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And that's just the way it's always been for me. So anyway, I am a little under the weather. I was feeling better, but this whole cold in my head's just ringing right now. So I will try to keep my voice level and do the things I need to do so we can get through this today, okay?
We can do this.
All right. Well, again, welcome for everyone that is here. I will be putting the recording out shortly after the class is over. So let's take a look at this because we got a big one coming up. Okay. So there's our class right there, all right? And there's our Zoom recordings. And I said, we've talked about this, that this is set up in sections. So the first section was chapters 1 through 3, getting to know what networks were all about. And then we jumped right into that switch. Today, we're going to look at in the TCP/IP OSI model in action, right? Why do we have a model? Don't tell me about this, just show me, right? Well, a model helps us put it into encapsulation and says, okay, if you think about this, communicating between human beings, we actually could write that out in a model, right? We might say, okay, I'm going to communicate with, let's see, Hannah or Eric. Well, let's say that we're both, Hannah and Eric and I and whoever else, let's say we're all bilingual. How are we going to communicate? Are we going to, let's say we're bilingual in Spanish. So when we all get together, if we say we're going to sit down at a cafe, we're going to chat and have coffee and espresso, and we're going to talk to each other. Well, are we going to go back and forth between English and Spanish and English, you know, whatever? We have to decide on what protocol that we're going to use. And it's always funny to me because my daughter is fully bilingual. And when we went on our vacation to Florida Keys, my wife and my daughter were sitting there, and up came an individual that looked like he was from perhaps Mexico, Latin America, Puerto Rico, whatever. And I had some questions on a particular thing, and I began to ask those questions to this really nice young man. And you could tell he just had this quizzical look on his face because I was a typical American that was speaking very fast. Right? And he had this weird look on his face. So my daughter picked up on it immediately. And so she started speaking Spanish to me. And you could just see his face relax. He's like, ah. And I had never actually heard her speak a lot. But once she started conversing with this cat, you could just tell they were having a good time. They were having a great conversation. They understood one another. And it was kind of cool to watch her use her language skills like that. Well, the same thing when you talk about computers. Right? You have to have some standardization to say, how are we going to move these packets around the internet? So we come up with these models. The TCP and IP model and the OSI model. Okay? So we're going to look at chapter 3. Chapter 3 being this one right here. Okay. And it looks like a lot, but as we go down through it, you'll probably get that, oh, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. And the nice thing about this is there is only one packet tracer. And it is an informative packet tracer. In other words, you just need to follow the steps. I'm going to move my chat on my other screen here. There we go. I can see y'all on the big screen. And let me reshare this so we can see it just real quick. There's only one, like I said. Okay, so on my 4-monitor array, I think I've got the right one saved. Can you see the packet tracer right here and the instructions? Someone give me a thumbs
Yeah.
up. Great. Thank you. Thank you. So in this particular case, we're going to examine some web traffic moving around. We'll get to this later, but it's only one packet tracer, and it's an informative one. Now you have to read. One of the things that might get you into trouble here is generate this web traffic. Right? I have had students not pay attention, and they'll say, click on the web client in the far left pane, and they'll go over here and they'll go, click, and they'll click on the web server. We had this when we had the packet tracer that had the PC